gives me pleasure to open this tonight because being a photographic fan, I love photographs and I love photographic clubs, and I'd like to thank you all for supporting the Motorboat Club Photographic Club. It's something we've added to the club, and I hope it grows very well, and I hope you all enjoy the evening, and thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
I would like to explain a little bit about what the process was, how it came about that we presented these images the way we did. So if you just bear with us for a couple more moments, we'll then have a break. Hopefully the barman will be back with some grog when Barbara has completed her spiel. Urge on wine. Okay, thanks very much.
Okay, well, welcome on behalf of Book Club Owners, George Motorboat Club, to come. It's good to have you all here. This is the second year I've actually mentored this club with their Projects of Passion. Projects of Passion it's a way a lot of the camera clubs now are going because they can work together in groups and you actually do what you want to do. And the idea is that at the end you have an exhibition somewhere, wherever you can, and talk about your work. And during the process of doing these, you actually come together a few times throughout. It's usually over maybe about 6 months. And during that time, you start bringing work in, talk about what you want to do as your project of passion, which in other words is like a portfolio. But you choose what you want to do, and it can be, and as you will see here this evening, each of the authors, photographers, will actually talk about their work. And then you go through it, and between the whole group you get assistance and help as to how to have a layout, and maybe quite often you might come up with an idea that you want to do as a project, and you think, oh yeah, I'm going to start with that, and you'll find that maybe after a few months that project's changed because you've got other ideas. So it can take anything up to about, like as I say, 6 months to get it. You don't, and you meet at least. We were meeting what once
a month,
or once every
2 to 3
months. Doesn't always have. And during the year before, you can, when COVID was on, you could do Zooms. A lot of the clubs. I do like the idea. I always believe that the project, the finished product, is prints, because prints are really what it's all about. Other people have done books, they've done digital, pro shows. They kind of, I think, have gone a little bit out nowadays, but books definitely were, and I think still are, quite popular. I know there's some members here, or ex-members of Lane Cove here tonight, and they've done projects there, or portfolios. Some clubs prefer to call it portfolios. Projects of Passion actually started up in the Blue Mountains because a lot of people were a bit confused with portfolios. They were getting a little bit, portfolio, no, I don't like that idea. But when you start saying a project of passion, it's your choice and you make it a project, and it became more popular. So this evening here, there's 8, including one of mine up there as well. And all of them, as you can see, are very different. I think most of them, no, I think a couple I know of started with something different and ended up with. And each, we will actually go around, and we're starting from that one up there, we'll go around. Each photographer will talk about their work, and maybe during the breaks or whatever, there will be, you can ask what you feel you want to about with any of the photographers, and they can explain their ideas and why they did it and what they did. So I think anything else? Anyone got any questions at the moment about a project's passion? No? Good.
All right, that was quick and easy.
Well, that's it, yeah.
All right. Look, we may have a small break now. As I said, we are waiting for the alcohol to arrive. So please, if you could just bear with us for a couple of moments. It should be here very shortly, so save your thirst for a couple more moments. And
so maybe start and walk around.
Yeah, please help yourself
and
to have a good look at the
And if
images.
the photographers of each one would like to maybe go and stand by your work, so that if somebody happens to ask any questions, please assist them.
Well done. Use of texture. So just something textural.
Coming back here.
It's lovely to see everybody here tonight. My name is Jan Newton and I'm going to talk about my photos. But I'd like to say a few things as a leader. As a participant, I would like to welcome you here tonight for our 2022 annual exhibition. I would also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land who walked these foreshores for the last time in the late 1880s. Our photography club started in 2017 and every year members are invited to be part of this exhibition. There are 10 participants here tonight. Our club is creative, collaborative, instructional and non-competitive. In plain English, we are a really nice group of people. I am. We meet on a Tuesday evening for image discussion and review and are visited on occasion by guest speakers. We also engage in excursions which provide us with opportunities to hone our skills. Though I fear we missed a very good opportunity last weekend with Spencer Tunick's Rudy Nudies installation at Bondi Beach. Dan, you should have included that. But there's always next year, isn't there? For the last 2 years we have had Barbara Seeger as mentor for our pop exhibition. Barbara has given us inspiration, guidance, and the desire to explore beyond. As you look around the room tonight, you can see the individuality of the images presented here. We see photography as being part of an artistic collective. We are all artists, whether we use the camera, brush, or clay. Our exhibition provides us with a platform to explore and express. Photography, as we see it, is a personal response to an image. All my images started with my grandson Cooper giving me this little bird's nest. And from looking at this little bird's nest, this is where I started. And it's interesting. Found in my backyard. And from this nest, 6 images have evolved. I love colour, form, texture, and making use of filters. For the very first time, I have printed my images on art paper, as suggested by Tony Namovsky, and I'm really pleased with the results. Thinking nests, I started to think eggs, because with nests you have eggs. So this is the very first image that I've got here, and then I sort of evolved it. There's another one with eggs, and then we've got the nests. And this one here, which is my favourite, I was coming out onto the back patio with an egg and I dropped it. So I sort of seized the opportunity as a, to take a photo of it. And this is where I sort of went. So my images are a combo of nest and ovoid. Mishaps, as I said, were taken as opportunities. Before I conclude, I will finish off with a few famous quotes. Everything has its beauty, but not everyone sees it. Leonardo da Vinci. If you ask me what I came to do in this world, I will answer you. I came here to live out loud. Andy Warhol. Thank you so much.
Next up we have Jerry Ty. Jerry is the club's technical officer and has also been a member of the club since its inception in 2017 and has given a lot of guidance and help to a lot of members over those last 6 years. So over to you, Jerry.
Okay, welcome everyone. Tonight's work is amazing and I'm going to talk about mine. Mine started off from my interest in humanity. That's where Iconlight come from. So my initial aspect was actually about this image here, and it was taken down at Stanwell Tops as a random image. Now what I liked about this image was the engagement between the father and the daughter. The father is completely engrossed in his drone, learning how to fly the thing. And the daughter is likewise engrossed with the father, learning about the drone. So my aspect here is about connecting through agency. So agency is a person, a self, and how you actually connect to your world. So engagement can be virtual, online, from what you see, television, movies, or it could be immediate, how you sense, how you feel. So it would depend on you, the agent, and your respective perspective about your own personal agency, because we all bring that through with our experiences from the past. This is how we learn, this is how we connect, this is how we communicate. And so it's your commitment to your reality. So engagement is the want to connect reality through the various mediums that you may engage with another or only yourself. So you can see here, he's engaged in this moment. You can see here, they're engaged as a group, as a collective. engaged by the self, the father-daughter. So you can achieve connectiveness with the subject without underlying awareness. You can just be in the moment in your own collective agency. So you want to basically connect with their worlds and conscious reality without sharing the intrinsic awareness of the shared reality that is theirs. So you want to achieve the difference in that perspective, to actually step outside your shoes and feel what's in another person's shoes. What's their story? What's going through their minds? Hence, engagement. Thank you.
Next up we have Tony Namovsky. Tony, wherever
I
you
think
are.
these two cheated. They wrote their speeches. They've got nothing.
Just give us your secrets.
Let's move on to the next one.
You're not recording this.
I am.
As usual, I struggled this year to come up with a project. I was going to work on 2 other different projects, but it would have meant I go back to some old photos, process old photos. So I decided to do something that we've done this year and take a look at some of my favourite spot to photograph, which is Cockatoo Island in Sydney. Everyone know where Cockatoo Island is? Junction of Parramatta River and Blanco River. Anyway, the place in the old days, I guess, with the Aboriginals, it was a fishing base. When the English came in, they made it a prison. Then it was a shipyard. Then it was a shipbuilding, docklands, you name it, factory work. So recently, it's more of an art space. There's visual art, musical festivals, art festivals, and so on. So the place is going through some restorations, and there's some interesting buildings there. I tend to have a look at a building or structure and take a section of it and restore it myself, with enhancing the colours, putting some textures, getting that abstract feel on the place. So that's it there. Thank you. Next up we have Barbara Seeger. Barbara, as you know, has been our mentor throughout this whole process of developing these our images. And Barbara's come up with a very interesting technique, so I'll let Barbara explain.
Yeah, well, no camera has been used in these images. I don't know how many of you know cyanotype. Cyanotype is the old-fashioned, if you've heard of blueprints, when they did that was cyanotype, and it goes back to the 1840s by John Herschel actually started it. So I've actually getting involved in alternative processing and printing, which I have discovered I love. So this one here, the little ones at the side, these here are the actual original cyanotypes, and what you do, you have, it's water-based paper for watercolours and things like that. They are coated with 2 chemicals that are mixed together, and in most cases people leave those papers to dry, and they can be dry in an hour. Then you lay something on it, put it out in the sun for 5 minutes in Australian sun when it's at its peak, take it in, wash it, and that's what you turn up with. But you can tweak things like you do. And so you can, as I have done, I actually put when they're wet. I don't let it dry, the paper dry. When it's wet, I lay the leaves or whatever I'm using on it. Then I might put soap. I use dishwashing liquid on it to get the bubbles, turmeric, salt, cling wrap, anything you like. Just cover it, put it out in the sun a bit longer, and then you dry it. And then what I have done, I have then scanned these images and then taken them into Photoshop and played with them and then printed them out. So by playing with them you can then bring out the colours, and in these cases here that was the original, and then I've just inverted it to bring it up as different pairs and that. So it is a great, and I love doing it. You can put different things. What you lay on it, what's covered is white, the rest comes out blue. So it's just a matter of playing, and I'm playing more and more. So I will continue to do this because I'm now going to use my own negatives to do as well. So you can actually use your own photos, make negatives, and put them on the paper and use it, and multiple expose. So yeah, anyone who's interested in cyanotype, let me know.
And you played at the beach.
Yeah, but in the beach, but that didn't work. I've got to work on that, trying to get the salt on that. But
She wanted to teach us.
Yeah, so it's something different. It means you don't have to get your camera out.
Yeah.
It's something which I like to do, just something different. So yeah, that's me, folks.
Thank you. I think we might keep going.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, if everyone's happy, everyone all right on their feet? Not going to fall over on us?
Where's Von? Here she comes.
Next up we have Von Lemming's images. Von hasn't been a member of the club for very long, but what we have discovered about Von is that she's an amazing photographer and has got some incredible skill. So I'll hand you over to Von, and yeah, don't worry about the crinkles, Von, we get it.
Righto. I'm Yvonne Lemming. I ask people to call me Von because no one can say Yvonne. This is my project of passion. Do you think I can think of the name of it? It'll happen. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen regardless. My inspiration, What of Life, sorry. That's what the project is called. My inspiration came from a person that I saw online who had just amazing colours and amazing light work on his flowers. I was so taken in by it and looked at all of them, and I was trying to replicate it, emulate it, and as much as I tried to, I couldn't really do it. So I ended up with white flowers, not coloured flowers, and ultimately I ended up with these. But I used to get the lighting on these was not sunlight, not a flash box, not a soft box, not anything like that. It was in the dark room in my studio with a small torch given to me by my girlfriend Deb, there, over there, and I put alfoil all over it so no light could get out of it. But I put a tiny pinprick in it so a little bit of light would come out. Essentially I painted them with the light. These are very long exposures. Me sitting there doing this for ages and ages to get it right, hundreds of times just to get the result that I wanted. That was the hard part. That was a hard part. The next part was processing. That was a piece of cake. Next part was printing. I learnt new profanity. And it was shared with Deb 2, wherever Deb 2 is, over there, and Jerry here. He started it. And because head strike, is that the word?
That's it.
That's it. I had an acute case of head strike with these. So little patches in the black were not working as good as they should have. And I wanted perfect black. So that's a pain in the backside. But eventually I got there. So if I have anything else to say, I really can't remember what it is. Enjoy.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Stand there. Next up we have Michael Leach. Michael, if any of you know him, will know that he's a pretty shy sort of guy. And he's asked me to give his little talk this evening. It'll be fairly brief. Michael, again, has been a member of our club since inception, which was 2017. Comes along to just about every meeting, every outing. He's probably one of our most loyal members, but up until just recently, Michael very rarely showed us his magnificent images. It was always, Dan, have a look at this, and he'd show me on his LCD screen on either his mobile phone or his camera, but never ever, or very rarely did we see them in life-size print. This year when we started our project of passion, Michael came along, $100 fine for a mobile phone. Michael came along and we thought, you know what, a few of us decided we were going to encourage Mike as much as possible to produce some images. And with the assistance of Jerry, Deborah and myself, we were able to produce a small body of work. Michael has a love of nature, animals, flowers, and that's depicted in these images. So enjoy his images, they're wonderful colours, and I think it's very indicative of what Michael loves. So, you know, if you want to come and talk to Michael during the evening about his images, he'd love to talk to you. So, thank you. Okay, thanks, Michael. Yes, pleasure. Next we have Christina.
Thank you. Agapanthus. They were my agapanthus from my backyard. This I started taking them in when we were in lockdown, through the COVID times when I was in lockdown. And we couldn't go out. I couldn't even go visit friends from other suburbs because we were in lockdown. So agapanthus only come out really for a month. They're there and then they're gone. At the moment they're there again. It's that time of the year. And then Christmas time, beautiful show of purple, and then they're gone. So I was out there and I took all of these ones here with my phone, my iPhone. So that's what I had done, and then I'd done them with a texture at the back and a texture at the front. I had made them all as 9 images, but then I thought, well, we've only got one night, so I'll put them all on in the one frame. So that's how they came out. And yeah, I'm quite happy with how it turned out. I changed all the textures so that they'd look a little bit different, but they're favourite colours of mine too, purple colours. I want to talk to you about, not so much about this art, but I want to talk to you about pop. Project of Passion. I'm really passionate about the projects of passion, and every single one of us have been working on something that's a project of ours or a passion of ours. So that's what we all chose. We got to choose whatever you're working on was your choice, and the passion came from that. I've been working on projects of passion for zonks, a long time, and I really don't like working on just individual images any longer. I like working on a project or a body of work. Just that's the way I like to do it, and that's how I start, and I work with different ones, and we get a whole group of them. So I think we all are keen to continue on with projects of passions being our body of our things that we want to do. It's not what somebody else tells us we should do, it's what we want to do. We meet on a regular basis to help one another out. If anybody wants any help, they can ask anybody within our group. and we're always here to help one another. That's the idea of projects of passion. So if you haven't got into them, get into them. Your bodies are a nice, strong lot of bodies of work that come together. Sometimes you work on them and you might have a dozen or so different images. You'll work on them, you'll bring them together with the group, and the group will say, look, they don't really work together too well. Get rid of those two, it looks stronger with using these ones. And so those ones go. They're still good images on their own, but yep, they don't fit this group of work. So that's how it comes. We have a mentor. We've had a mentor, which is Barbara, which we thankfully thank you very much. It's been great to have a mentor to take us, help us through these. Because sometimes we might look at our work and think, yeah, they all go together, or this is what I'm going to do with them, and that somebody will just, no, if you did this to it, that'll make all the difference. And it could be just somebody that also that's in the group that will say that to you, and then suddenly, okay, yeah. And suddenly you can change your way you're going. So that's what, to me, Projects of Passion's about, and I'm really passionate about them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Alona.
Have you pushed the button?
It's pushed.
Don't forget to push the button.
I have pushed the button. I push the button all the time. My work is created in a program on my iPad. It's called Procreate. It is very similar to Photoshop. You work in layers and layers and layers. It has blending modes and all the little whistles that Photoshop has. But it doesn't really matter what you do, take a photo and work on your photo, or you paint something, or whatever you do. It's an idea. You come up with an idea that you think you love and you will follow through. I had one project of passion where I wanted to do something and I was working on it for a long time, and the last 2 weeks I decided it doesn't work. And instead of giving up, I created something new in 2 weeks, but it worked out. So yes, the project of passion is something we have, Christina and I and Barbara, we have been in projects of passions for many, many, many years. And once you start, you get addicted to it and you don't want to do anything else. My images come from, I watched a movie once and I saw a painting on the wall, and it was just grabbing my attention, that painting, and I thought I have to research that kind of painting. So I went on the internet and I researched it, and I came up with Cubism. So I researched Cubism and I found a few artists, like one of them is Andy Warhol, and he is one of my favorites, and that's really was his style. And I fell in love with it, and I have done a lot of things, and this one here is just abstract. I wanted to go a bit more abstract. It's hard for a photographer to go abstract. But I just drew shapes and put them on top of each other, and then put layers on top of each other again, and wanted to make it look 3D. It's a flat image, there's nothing coming out. But when you look at it, I find that you can see the 3D effect in it. And this one's a little bit as well, but not as strong as these ones. And these, I hope you can see faces. They're meant to be portraits. So yes, thank you, Barbara, for being our mentor the second year. And I think we will continue this project of passions for a little while at least. And hopefully new members will join us, and hopefully you can try in your club as well, the project of passion. It is very interesting. I think it's nice because we meet as a group, we help each other. There's no competition, there's no rewards or awards, it's in your heart. We always try to do something new, something different to what we have done before. We try to push ourselves out of our comfort zone and learn something new. We know we have people who will help us. Even if it's just looking at something and saying, try this, maybe that will work. So yes, please try it in your clubs. Thank you.
Okay, finally. I left the best till last.
It's just the model. The best.
It's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
No, the model's the best.
I'm usually a fairly humble, modest sort of guy and don't like talking about money, but ask my wife. My project this year was twofold. One, it was to prove that you don't need to go very far from your home to take damn good photos. Well, and two, I brought out of the closet a lens which I purchased some time ago. I won't tell my wife what I paid for it. It was a 14mm Samyang lens, which is a fisheye.
They are
lens.
relatively cheap.
And thanks a lot. She just about walked out. And I decided I was going to try and use it a little bit differently to what typically a fisheye lens is used. It's typically used for architecture, to exaggerate the lines of architecture. And I decided I'd try and use it a little bit differently. There's a model in 3 of these images who is here tonight, and amazingly she still talks to me.
Can you introduce your model?
Yeah, stand up and take a bow.
She was very, very patient with me, as she always is. Some of these images were taken during times when we were almost locked down for short periods of time. Hence the reason that everything looks rather depleted of people. But basically I brought the lens out and experimented with it, and this is the end result. I hope you enjoy looking at them. And if you happen to have a fisheye lens, try to use it a little bit differently to what is typically used for, and you might be surprised with the results. Okay, thank you. Just before we finish, we have one more very important person who's done something quite different this year. I hope you've all had a go.
Sorry, can I?
But she'll talk to you now about
I've actually had a long-term interest in how people engage with art, and I really like to foster that. I love the conversations that come out of photographs, and I really enjoy doing projects of passion. And nearly always I've taken an idea and I've tried to develop it, and I present a set of images. This year I've done something different. I changed tack a little bit. It was going to be originally a set of images, but it was about elements of a picture. So things like line, negative space, which I'm sure most of you know quite a bit about. You know, different elements that are, make effects in pictures and make you respond to them. So I did have a set of images that I was working on, and I just thought they weren't engaging. And to me, the most important part about this project is that people engage with it. So I actually came up with the idea very close to the end of a card matching game. So I've developed a whole lot of genres, like a use of colour, use of texture, story, etc. There are probably about 12 or 16 categories. It could easily have been more. I've got about 50 pictures here. And I picked these images not because they were great images, but because I thought they had 2 or 3 elements that they could go in several categories. Because no good if there's only one picture per category. So that's what I've done, and I hope that it engages people to talk more about their art and give them some language skills to do that, and hopefully have a bit of fun. So that's my project. It's about photographs. It's not photographs.
Just whilst we're all gathered here, if you can just stay together just for one moment, I've got to grab something.
Sorry. You always have to be in the spotlight.
Tonight's exhibition wouldn't have been as successful as it has been without the help of Barbara Seeger. Initially, Barbara was travelling considerable distances to be with us here at St. Susie.
The other reason she moved closer.
Yeah, with any luck, she might even move closer again. You just never know.
No.
But as a sign of our appreciation, Barbara, I can't thank you enough. You've been the most amazingly patient person with us, and not only that, you're not bad photographer.
No, thank you.
Photographer of a different type.
Yeah, well, something different as we do.
Please accept
Thank
this
you.
small gift.
Thank you very much. I've got something to photograph now. Might even go into some sign
Gerbers are very nice at this time of
Yes,
the
they
year.
are actually.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody. It's very successful. You choose what you want to do and you'll be surprised. Work in a group because it's the best way to do it. So, yeah, thank you.
Just before.